Hi, I'm Holland. Welcome to this hobby of mine that I'm developing. I'm hoping to make this a kind of bookish video essay type of channel. Today, I wanted to just make an easier kind of video at first, something that required a little bit less planning of me that I could just try out and see if I like it. So, in case you're not one of my friends who is going to watch this and you're wondering who I am, what my deal is, I am a graduate student in physics in the Los Angeles area, and reading is my hobby of choice, specifically literary fiction, contemporary fiction, and nonfiction as well. I would say those are probably my top three. And then I dabble in science fiction, romance, not a lot of fantasy, but occasionally I will. But yeah, generally reading is what I do with my free time when I have it. And I recently have just been missing the critical thinking capabilities that I feel like I had in college. I feel like in college, I would really enjoy writing essays. I really enjoyed literary analysis and anthropological analysis and crafting arguments and fleshing them out. And I feel like it just helped me to be a more socially aware person. I feel like nowadays when I read books, I kind of read them fairly quickly, don't annotate them. Sometimes I will write down quotes from them, but I don't really remember what was in them. There's books that I remember absolutely loving, and I couldn't really tell you any details of the plot. This channel is part of an effort to not only share what I'm reading and make kind of more traditional bookish content, but also, maybe do some video essays and think about some of the themes in what I'm reading. That's kind of what I'm hoping to implement in this channel, but today I wanted to do something a little bit more low stakes, and I'm going to be talking about some books that I bought recently and choosing what I'm going to read on my upcoming vacation at the end of this month. So today I have thoughts on choosing my beach reads. So I had a bit of a mini book haul a few weeks ago. I kind of had a big exam for my work, my research. And then I celebrated after that by going to Barnes and Noble, which I don't typically do. I usually only buy books, one, if I've read them before and I loved them and I know I'm going to want to reread them again at some point in my life. Two, if I really believe I will love them. That is probably the least frequent occasion on which I buy books. And three, I love going to used bookstores and looking for things that I've literally never heard of. And I have found things this year that I have loved that I just randomly picked up at a local bookstore. So, anyway, I had this big exam recently, and to reward myself, I went to Barnes and Noble. I went because I thought I had a $50 gift card, and then it turned out to be a $50 gift card for Half Price Books, which is a bookstore chain in Texas. So I literally went to the register and I gave her this gift card, and she was like, "Oh, it's not working." And I was like, "Oh, that's weird." And then I was like, "Oh, that's because it's not for here." Yes, that will be debit. Thank you very much. Yes. Before I show you those books, I have one book that I have from the library right now. This is The Dream Hotel by Laila Lalami. It was published in March of this year, so it's a very recent release. It's about a woman named Sarah who has recently returned from a trip to LAX airport. It's about a woman named Sarah who lands in LAX returning from a trip, and she's detained because her dreams apparently have indicated that she's at risk of harming her husband. She's supposed to be at this detention center for 3 weeks, but it ends up being prolonged and delayed. No one knows why. She kind of grows complacent, as have all the other women in this detention center, until a new person comes along and kind of shakes things up. I don't know anything else other than that. But this sounds fascinating. I mean, obviously, there's themes here of surveillance and data privacy or the lack thereof, and, potential implications with artificial intelligence. But I'm also really interested in kind of the control of women because it's an all female detention center that she gets held up at. I'm just very excited for it. I also think it's very relevant right now to be reading about people, randomly picked up for vague reasons and put in detention centers, separated from their family. Obviously, that is very relevant right now with the ICE raids happening all over the country. So excited for that. I will have to read this before I go on vacation because it is due back while I'll be there. So this I will get out of the way before I leave. Okay, now these books that I bought from Barnes and Noble, I have three of them. The first one is Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. This was published in 2022, I believe. Yeah, 2022. I started this, I think in 2023 was when I started reading this, and I enjoyed it. I didn't have any complaints. I just had to return it to my library. So I never got to finish it, and I wanted to buy it to finish it, but I hated the pink cover. Not because I don't like pink, I actually love pink, but I thought the design was kind of stupid and it didn't match the main character in the book. So when I saw they released this edition that had more of like the UK cover, I was like, oh, sick, I'm gonna buy this. If you haven't heard of this book, it's about a female chemist, Elizabeth Zott, who marries another chemist, they have a child, and then she goes on to have her own cooking show, which all of her cooking ability is kind of intertwined with her scientific expertise and interest. What I remember loving about this character the most was that she was very headstrong, she was very no nonsense, and she really refused to be malleable at a point in time when that was really expected of you as a woman. Obviously, we all know the traditional stereotype of housewife in the 50s and 60s and how strong that archetype was and is to this day. But I just remember her, like, she was never confused about what she wanted to do, what she would accept, what she wouldn't be. I think that was really refreshing in a character, and I'm excited to get back into this. The next one, I wasn't really planning to buy, but I did. I don't really have a follow up to that. I just did. I bought it. It's Orbital by Samantha Harvey. This, if you're not familiar, won the Booker Prize this past year in 2024. It beat out James by Percival Everett. And the Booker Prize, if you don't know, is the top literary prize for books published in the UK slash Ireland. And I don't really know too much about this book. I don't want to know too much going into it. It's really short, which I didn't expect. It's like 200 pages. It's pretty little. It's about, I believe, six different astronaut characters going through space over a period of 24 hours. And I'm so fascinated to see how that plot line ends up winning one of the top literary prizes of them all. Like I'm I'm sad. I'm kind of sad. The final book that I bought at Barnes and Noble recently was All Fours by Miranda July. Yes, yes. I'm so excited to read this one. This one was published last year, 2024, and it was shortlisted for a bunch of stuff. It was shortlisted for the National Book Award here in the US and for the Women's Prize, which is essentially the Booker Prize, but exclusively for women authors. It is about a woman who I think she's an artist in LA, and she has a husband and she has a child, and she's kind of just burnt out on her life and she wants to do something spontaneous. So she takes a road trip from LA to New York City, or she plans to, but she stops about an hour outside of her home in LA, and gets a motel in the area, ends up having this kind of like sexual adventure. I've heard it's very raunchy and just very good, and I'm very excited to read it. I also live, I believe, somewhat close to where this is set, and I love reading books where I understand the setting a little bit. So, relatability of the location is always a pro for me. I'm just really excited to get into this. I think it's going to have, similarly to Lessons in Chemistry, like interesting themes of gender roles and what happens when women couldn't really fit them if they tried. Anyway, I'm just excited to get into this. All of these books I probably will try to take notes on, but we'll see. So those are the three that I bought. For my beach reads, I think I have to take All Fours by Miranda July. This of the three that I bought is the one I feel like I'm most looking forward to, so I'm gonna bring it with me on vacation for sure. I think between Orbital and Lessons in Chemistry, I feel like Lessons in Chemistry might be, I don't want to say it's a light read because it does have heavy topics, but I think it's going to be a quicker read. Well, the other one's only 200 pages. I want to bring Lessons in Chemistry. I don't have an awesome reason why. I just feel like this is more of your typical novel. I feel like Orbital, again, because I'm so interested as to why it won the Booker Prize, it's not really something I want to read on vacation and on the beach. It's something that I think I want to be prepared to be a little bit surprised by, if that makes sense. And Lessons in Chemistry, again, I've started it before. I know the kind of gist of what it's about. I do think I will really enjoy it, but I don't think it's really going to surprise me. So I feel like that's better for a kind of beachy read. Okay, the other thing is my work book club is doing Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I have read this before, so this will be a reread for me. This, if you're not familiar, is essentially about two best friends. They're best friends since childhood. They end up developing a video game together. Well, they end up developing multiple video games together, but they develop one that's very, very popular. It kind of goes from there. They have very close, sometimes complicated relationship. And I loved this when I read it a couple of years ago. I'm very excited to reread it. I probably will not bring this hardback copy with me to the beach. I will probably read it on my Kindle. So, yes, I am choosing this as another one of my beach reads. Kind of because I have to, because it's a book club pick, but also I'm very, very excited to read it. I feel like that's three. I have All Fours, Lessons in Chemistry, Tomorrow and Tomorrow Tomorrow. Three, what I think will be awesome novels. And do I need more than that for like a week and a half trip? No, almost certainly not. Almost certainly I won't even read all of those. But I want to have options. I want to be able to kind of, go back and forth and sample. So now you might be thinking, Holland, you have no romances on that list. That is like the quintessential beach read is a romance. And so fair. So true, so fair. I have a really hard time like loving romance novels. My favorites are probably Emily Henry. I know, shocker. Oh, original opinion, crazy. I like a book to have a little bit more substance than I find a lot of romance books do. I know the whole point is that they have a happy ending and they have predictability a lot of the time, and I do respect that. I just don't necessarily enjoy reading them. I read Abby Jimenez Part of Your World this year. I thought it was all right. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great. And I read a couple of Elsie Silver as well. The first one, I think it was Reckless. I think the first one, ooh, is it Reckless? Whatever the first one is, I thought was all right also. The second one, Heartless. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I don't like when female main characters don't really have any ambition or aim or goals in life. I really don't. I can't get into that.
I don't know, I just don't think this is like right for me. I don't want to do it. I want to go home. Like, I can't take the pressure of it.
But don't you think any job interview...
So I'm deciding if I want to try to read either Yours Truly, the second book in that Abby Jimenez series, or whatever the next Elsie Silver in that Chestnut Spring series is. Oh, Flawless is the first one, not Reckless. So it's Flawless, then Heartless, then Powerless. Okay. Yeah, and get it right. So, okay, I'll tentatively, don't look at my blister. Tentatively, don't stop. Don't look at it. You looked at it. That feels like I shouldn't do that. Tentatively, I'll put Powerless on there, on my beach read TBR. And then 5 is crazy. I don't need to be planning to read 5 books because simply I will not accomplish that. That is not a goal that I will accomplish. But I really want to read James by Percival Everett this year. Cause duh. Cause duh, it's like the most critically acclaimed book that was published in 2024. I don't want to read James by Percival Everett without ever having read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Do I really want to read this? Yes and no. I mean, it's an American classic, right? There's some works where I want to read them to have a better understanding of the literary landscape in America or in whatever context than I do just wanting to read them for the sake of wanting to read them. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll do it and I'll try to like read a chapter of this at a time instead of like reading this whole thing front to back. I'll try to intersperse it with the other things that I'm reading. Okay, so my beach reads this year are going to be All Fours by Miranda July, Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus. Will be the Kindle version, but tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. We have again on Kindle, potentially, if I'm feeling generous, Powerless by Elsie Silver. Possibly, maybe, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. I feel like this is good. I feel like, will I finish all of this? No, absolutely not. But does it give me variety? Yeah. This is the vibe. Thank you for listening to my thoughts on these books, in addition to others. I will see you in hopefully the next video. Unless I hated this one, and I hated this whole experience, in which case I will not be doing this again. But let's hope that doesn't. Okay, bye. Don't want to read it without ever having read Huckleberry and Finn. Like, Huckleberry and Finn? You can tell I haven't fucking read it because that's not what it's called.